And we are recording. Hello, Martina. Welcome to the mentoring
Hi,
process.
Virginia.
So glad to have you here because
Hi.
I have so many friends joining me to this initiative. So let's start by introducing yourself a bit. So most of the translators might know you, but for the recording and for the records.
Well, my name is Martina. I'm an English to Italian translator based in London, where it's currently very rainy and gloomy, as it usually is. I specialize in marketing translation for food, hospitality, tourism, and travel industries. And I also work as a business and marketing consultant and supervisor at London South Bank University, and as a visiting lecturer in business translation at London Metropolitan University.
That's very interesting.
And I do talks and workshops for translators on marketing and business skills around Europe.
That's how we met anyway. That's how we
met.
So let's start from the marketing translation specialization, because we got some questions also from the members of our group. How did you become specialized in marketing translation?
Well, it was sort of I don't know, destiny maybe. Initially I studied conference interpreting, and I started working as a conference interpreter and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, a long time ago now. And translation was sort of a side gig for the days where I was not busy at conferences and stuff. And while I was doing my degree in completing my degree in interpreting and translation, I was thinking about a topic to write my dissertation on. And sort of like everyone was writing dissertations about, you know, the neuropsychology side of interpreting or interpreting techniques and all the sort of usual topics. And I wanted to do something a bit different. And at the time I was reading Steve Jobs' biography, and I got interested in the difference in marketing communication between Apple and Microsoft. So I wrote my dissertation about that, and obviously I had to do a lot of research into marketing and marketing theory. And then I got like so into the topic that I decided to get another degree in marketing, and that's where my specialization really kicked in, and where I started to really focus on market translation. And then as I went on, I started to niche down into specific industries that I enjoyed working in, that I knew because of past experiences as well.
Such as the travel and tourism you mentioned, or any other?
Yeah, travel, tourism, food, hospitality, lifestyle, sort of the fun things in life, really.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, you know, about mentees, because most of the times they ask me how do they get specialized, and what path to choose, or what way to choose their specialization, or in order to become specialized, what path to choose. So pretty interesting to hear different stories of specialized translators who are many years in the business and they still stick to their specializations. How did they choose it, and how did they become specialized? And I had some similar situation. So my dissertation also for my BA, I have BA in translation, was also in aeronautics. It was in some diesel machines back then, at manual translation for the first time, because the dissertation theme should be a translation that the text that hasn't been translated in the target language never before. So I found that through a friend of mine who was importing these diesel machines here in Greece. So I translated for the first time, and this was the reason I got hired at a company, consulting company back then in aeronautics, and then I got specialized in technical texts. And since then, of course, I have other specializations, but it's pretty interesting that might also the thesis and the dissertation theme might lead you to a path where you can choose your specialization. Pretty interesting. So as to say to the members of the group that they can ask questions, that if we cannot be able to answer them during the session, we will be able in the group. I have some questions already in the Google form that also exist in the group, and you can enter there your question if you want them to be anonymously entered in the form. And but in any case, you can comment below this video and later in the group, and we can answer them later. that's the purpose also of the videos, to answer your questions behind the business translation, the business part of our profession. So please do feel free to comment or enter your question in the Google form. So let's return to Martina, because it's very interesting here. you're very interesting, your life course until now. So what was the turning point in your career when you did the scale up, as we say, like you feel enough secure to charge whatever you would like, of course, and to make a living and travel all over the world, because we've seen that you've been traveling a lot. So
yes, I have a bit too much sometimes, but sometimes I need to become a bit more careful with my finances and not spend everything on travel and gigs, because it becomes a bit dangerous sometimes. But hey, so I guess the turning point was sort of a couple of years ago, well, 3 years ago, because we're in 2020 now. I was at this networking event at the university where I studied and then started to work. And my university is really focused on enterprise entrepreneurship and has quite a large network of small business owners. And this was like a presentation.
Is this the university of your second degree?
Of my third degree, yeah. Yeah, it's London South Bank University. Okay. And this was like a presentation of an entrepreneurial program at the university. And I met this, the owner of this travel insurance company. And we got to talking, and he said that he had recently expanded in Spain and he was thinking about expanding in Italy. So I said, well, if you need, to localize a website, just get in touch. I mean, I'm around here all the time, so we can meet up. And that was like my real first direct client. I mean, I've had direct clients in the past, but very sort of one-off sort of clients. And this one with, the sort of amount of work that was involved, it would have been a sort of a repeat client, so a good opportunity. And so I started to get in touch with some fellow translators, because I didn't really know how much to charge for a direct client in the UK market. I had been working in the UK for a couple of years, but mainly with agencies, so I wasn't sure.
Can I ask how many years you were in the business back then? Can I ask how many years you were in the business?
So I started in 2013, and this happened in 2017, so 4 years in.
Yeah, 4 years,
yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, I got to talking with some colleagues, and I said, well, I'm going to try and charge like a lot more than what I normally charge to an agency. And I sent this quote, and it was like the biggest quote I'd ever sent, like largest amount ever at the time. And I thought, oh, it's never going to come back to me. It's never going to, never going to say yes. It's going to disappear into nothing. And little did I know that 5 minutes later, he had paid a 30% advance payment, and we're talking about £1,000 at the time, and confirmed work for about a month and a half. And he's still a client now. I've raised my rates with the company over time, because then I've raised my rates. And that was a turning point, because I understood that actually, if I communicated my value well, I could charge accordingly. So with the next client, I charged a little bit more. When they say yes straight away, I said, well, I can charge a little bit more to the next client. And so this is like sort of my tactic now. With every client, I try and charge a little bit more. If they say yes straight away, it makes me understand that they're actually, the price is really good for them. So I can charge more. When they say yes, but are a bit hesitant, that's when I know I hit the right spot, like the sweet spot.
Can you repeat?
Yeah, that was.
Can you repeat the last one? You said, like, you understand that you have what was the
Yeah, so basically when a client says yes to a price straight away, it means that the price is too low. Otherwise, they would have a problem with it of some sort. If they say yes after a bit of hesitation and negotiation, then I understand that I've hit the sweet spot in that case, because it's the right price for both of us. So that's what I do now. I raise my rate with every new client and try it, basically.
Just in a few minutes, you said so many educative and interesting things that I can sum up some of them, but I have to share my experience that I had to charge last December the highest rate in my career, and I'm 12 years in the business, unlike you. So they accepted right away because they were desperate for the deadline, if you can imagine. So sometimes they might say yes, but you know that for me it was a five-figure invoice. So it was pretty high, and they said yes right away because it was the right timing. They understood the value. It was a very difficult text. It was a deadline that couldn't have been met. I don't know if they could have found anyone else like in December during the, so you have to take into consideration when you charge also the deadline, if it is holidays, what you give up in order to deliver quality in your
Absolutely.
to meet the deadline, and what you deliver, not only your value, but also what the value that you deliver to the client. Sometimes we do not realize that when we start. But to sum up what you said already, so much information for someone starting out. Networking event you mentioned. So guys, if you want to scale up and if you want to take the next step in your career, go to networking events, or online or offline. And the second secret of Martina, just now she revealed, is like she went to networking event with her ideal clients there rather than translation events. And it was also business owners there. And also she met someone who would be willing to have their text or whatever material translated in her target language, was Italian market. So all of this information is what to go to networking events where your ideal clients are, and to search for people who would be interested in your target market and target language. That's couldn't be said like even better when you want to enter the direct clients market, of course. And also Martina said that for her business and for her experience, in order to scale up, she had to enter the direct clients market, which for me it's essential if you want to scale up. It's pretty difficult to do that when you work with agencies. I wouldn't exclude that. I don't know about you, Martina. I wouldn't exclude that someone would like to stick with agencies, but would even be interested to scale up. That needs a different strategy. What do you think? It's more difficult to scale up with agencies, but still,
can you repeat that, because I couldn't really hear it.
Sorry for that. It's pretty difficult to scale up still working with agencies, but I think that if you follow a different strategy, you might be able to achieve it, even if it's more difficult, rather than entering the direct clients markets. But still, there are some translators who will do that because they hesitate to work with direct clients. Is that correct? Have you ever had something like that, or you have
yeah, I think it's possible to scale up even by just working with agencies. It's just about sort of going to the better agencies as you progress in your career. So instead of going with like the huge agencies that serve everyone in the world, every language, that have like thousands and thousands of translators for every language combination, maybe find the sort of boutique agencies that specialize in your area of specialization and who understand what's needed to, you know, to provide good quality, and so are willing to pay for that quality.
But still the rates wouldn't be the same with direct clients. Like, I don't know from your experience, I don't want you to disclose any rates, but as a percentage, how much more when you did scale up, was it the difference in, for me, it was like the first time I did a scale up was a double price of what I charged the agencies back then, and now was 3 times like above the rate that I charged to agencies. Is that correct? Is that something similar?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can share a story of mine. We're going to talk about that in the conference next week. We are going to be with Martina at Elia Together. We speak on Thursday, 27th. So join us if you are in Milan next week in Italy. And we're going to share successful stories of cooperation among translators. So the first time I did the first scale up was to, not exactly agency, but not exactly a direct client, because it was a company that used to undertake casino and game localization projects. So might like agency more or less. So it was based in the Netherlands, and I contacted a friend and translator there, Ellen Singer, she's in the group. And I asked her for an advice, how much should I charge a company based there with that specific project. And it was the first time I was encouraged to double my rate, and I was pretty surprised. I was like you, I thought I'm going to send the quote and then I will never hear back from that client, but don't feel like that, because he accepted the rates and still then we've been working together. Okay, he might made a comment that the rate would be high, but still accepted and all my payment terms, and they paid after the day after I delivered the project. Can you even imagine that? So ask people, more experienced translators, don't hesitate to ask, don't feel embarrassed, and get out of a slump, and also charge accordingly, like where the company is based, the market rates, make a research before, ask for other colleagues, and then charge accordingly to your lifestyle, of course, and your income and your earnings.
Yeah.
So I would pretty much interested from the beginning about you as a tutor and a professor, or how you call yourself at the university, because I find it as exciting projects.
It is quite exciting. So basically at London South Bank, well, that's the university where I got my MSc in marketing. And first I started to work in this sort of advice center for small businesses as a student advisor. And after about a year and a half, I was asked to, well, I applied to become supervisor, and I'm still supervisor there. And then basically my line manager was also the head of department of the business and enterprise department in the School of Business. And sort of like 1 week after I submitted my dissertation, she asked me if I was willing to become a lecturer. And I said, well, I still haven't graduated yet, and I've never taught in my entire life, so I don't know if I'm like up for it. But then I said, well, I'm not even 30 and I've been offered a job as a lecturer at university. Who am I to say no to that?
Martina, can I ask, they do not need a PhD there in order to become a lecturer. You can do it with a master's degree.
So in some cases you can, yeah, in some universities you can. I went through the application, so I wasn't just given the job. I had to submit my CV, my letter of interest, a video of me teaching, and luckily I had done some workshops that I had filmed, so I had that to use. And then went for an interview and sort of assessment of any kind. And this was back in 2017. So in 2017, 2018, I was a seminar tutor in small business management mainly. I did have a few more modules, but the main one was small business management. And then after about a year, I decided that I wanted to focus more on the translation business, so I had to give something up. And I decided to give up the teaching because it was taking way too much of my time, especially because you're in the classroom for maybe like 4 hours, but then you have to prepare the classes and do the marking, so it takes a lot of time. I'm still supervisor in the business center, but then I was offered to become a visiting lecturer at London Metropolitan for the MA translation students to teach business translation. I was referred by a colleague, and again I went to the application and stuff like that, and so every semester I deliver a lecture on business translation, but that's it's not such a time commitment as it was to teach on like 4 modules per semester back then. It was definitely an very interesting sort of experience, because it gave me a lot of food for thought for my workshops and my talks as well. Definitely helped me with my sort of style of delivering lectures and talks. and it opened my eyes a bit on like the sort of general situation of education in the UK, when it comes to the sort of knowledge and skills that the students have, both the translation students and the business students. So that was
about to ask you, the
that's
students,
quite interesting.
students. I was about to ask.
Can't hear you.
I was about to ask you, your students are translation students or in a different field? You mentioned something about that.
So currently, yeah, so at London Metropolitan, I teach business translation to MA translation students. And 2 years ago, I used to teach business management to business students. So nothing to do with translation.
Yeah, why I had in mind that you teach them marketing, or am I mistaken?
No, I've never taught marketing except for the workshops that I do.
Okay, that's why the workshops, maybe that's why, because I'm seeing the workshops that you do. But is it included in your tutoring career, like in?
Well, it's sort of an extra thing. It's I mean, I do deliver workshops on marketing for businesses, so not necessarily translators, through the university.
Oh, okay.
And I do them on my own as Martina Eco 3P translation at conferences and translation events, but the two things are sort of separate. Although I am going to do a marketing workshop for translation students at London Metropolitan University soon.
That's what I've seen, most probably. What do you think that they need the most regarding marketing knowledge? What's knowledge missing from
the knowledge? Well, what I think needs to be embedded in the curricula and the programs at university for translators is definitely some market awareness, because it's one of the things that I've noticed a lot of people don't have. So knowing what the translation market is, what's the size, how it's working, what the trends are, what are the major players, and what, even like knowing the specific industries in which we can work with.
How to market yourself as a translator or a business owner.
Absolutely, and have those business skills that are absolutely fundamental if you want to be a freelance translator. Not just marketing, but also organization, prioritization, basic accounting skills, everything. And I mean, in the UK, they seem to be a bit more advanced than they are in Italy. But I remember when I studied in Italy, we sort of got our degree and then we were out in the world with no idea what to do.
It was my next question, because here in Greece, there is no such thing. We do not even get taught about how to write a CV. Imagine about marketing yourself or marketing strategies or whatever, business skills, nothing at all. So I was about to ask you what's the difference between Italy and UK, because you've been the most, I think in Italy you've told me it's the same like Greece.
Yeah, Italy would be pretty much the same. Although now I know that they're starting to sort of do like afternoon and evening talks by professionals who talk to the students, which is seems to be a good sort of route to take.
2020, they managed to do something like that.
Can you repeat that, because I couldn't
hear it? I think that it was about time. It's already 2020. So
oh yeah, absolutely.
And in the UK, is it a bit different, the situation there?
So in the UK, as far as I know, there is a module on business and marketing skills, usually about like the market and being a translator in the market. I don't personally know what the content of this module is, because I'm not involved in it, but I know that they do sort of extra talks for students, like the one I'm going to be doing on marketing at London Met. So there is stuff going on, definitely, but I think we're still a bit far from the ideal situation where we are trained not just as translators, but also as business people.
And freelancers, yeah.
I mean, when I do my lecture on business translation at London Metropolitan, at the end of the lecture, I always ask, the students if they have any questions, and 95% of questions are not related to business translation, but they're related to the business of translation. So how to become a freelancer in the market, and how to develop a personal brand and stuff like that. So there is definitely hunger for this kind of content coming from students.
Still in Greece, the same people. I was invited in my university a couple of years ago, and the students were so many. They were even starting outside of the room to ask questions about how to enter the market, how to find the first clients, how to write a CV. Questions like this should be answered in a university, but there are still professors who say that we teach you translation, we do not teach you how to be a businessman, which is totally different. Okay, I understand that, but I think it should be combined. If you think that are like 70%, even more, they become freelancers after in their business career. So if you would like to give a marketing knowledge that they need when they start out the translators, the minimum would be, what would you advise them? I know that you read the Steve Jobs biography, but is there something that you would like to recommend to starting out translator, how to start easily on their own, or even beside your courses that you are going to say later, as a course online or something, free material, how to start, about marketing, about your expertise? Is there anything?
Well, definitely hit the internet for information. There is loads of information online about the translation market. There's research studies done by the professional associations. There's a website called NIMSI, which is really useful and has some really useful stats to sort of contextualize.
It's really interesting, this one.
Contextualize the trends in the industry and stuff like that. And then don't forget to do some marketing. So save some time, either like an hour a day or a day of the week or a few days at the end of the month. It's completely up to you, but do put yourself out there. I can't really say there's a strategy or a tactic that works for everyone, because every one of us is different, and the sort of techniques and tools that you use depends on your target clients, first of all, but also your capabilities and your passions, what you like and you don't like to do. And then sort of try with one thing first, and then you can sort of increase the number of marketing tactics and tools that you use. Try things out a little bit, perfect your communications, make sure that you focus on the client rather than yourself. So if you're writing an email, make sure that pretty much all the sentences start and end with a you or your, or the name of the client, instead of saying, I'm a translator, I do this, I charge that, I can help you with that. Try and turn it around so that what the client reads is all about themselves, and it's going to make them very happy. So that would be my
I say
top tip.
When we write a CV, I tell them, try to figure out what the reader of your CV or the evaluator of your CV would like to read inside it. So don't have you in your mind when you write a CV. And when they ask me, should I include this information, what to do with this kind of information? So I always tell them, have in mind the reader and the evaluator of your CV. Would they be interested in reading such an information? Would this information make them hire you or assign you this specific project because they read this kind of information in your CV? So it's more or less the same. And if there were experienced translators asking you what they should do in order to scale up, or if you would be able to give them a piece of marketing knowledge or advice differently to starting out translators.
Well, my recommendation is to sort of take a step back and analyze your current business and the state of your business. So have a look at who your clients are, if it's direct clients and agencies, what percentage, how much you're charging each one, what sort of capabilities you have untapped, and what sort of gaps you need to fill, and then sort of create duplicate your ideal client as much as you can. So find your best client and try and duplicate them to find, you know, more good clients. And I would say don't listen to everything you hear about marketing, because there is no magic recipe, as I said before. Figure out what strategy works best for you. If you don't like cold emailing, then don't cold email people. If you don't like to go to networking events because you're very shy, not a very sociable person, and you don't feel at ease, then don't do it. Stick to the online. Vice versa, if you're a person that comes across really well in person, then forget about social media and forget about emails. Try to get out there and go to like a networking event every week or even more. You know, mingle and enjoy what you're doing, because if you don't, then it's not going to work.
What if they do not enjoy anything? That's pretty difficult. What if they do not enjoy?
Sorry?
What if they don't enjoy any of these? Like they do not enjoy cold calling, cold emailing, warm emailing, or even attending a networking. They must have something that they have to do something regarding marketing. I tell that.
Well, I would say
My mentees, it's pretty difficult to find what they enjoy most of the times. That's why they lack marketing knowledge. It's because they are not interested in such knowledge, or they are not willing to do such things. So most of the times they get the knowledge pretty later in their career, and after someone motivates them to do it.
Yeah, well, I would say that marketing is absolutely fundamental. If you're a freelancer, there's no way that clients are going to come to you unless you put the word out. So you have to give some to get some, and try and like get creative. Maybe there's like some marketing techniques or tools that not everyone uses, that very few people use, but are the right ones for you. Just to give you an example, I was talking to a colleague at a conference a couple of years ago, and she's a literary translator specialized in crime fiction. And she went to this crime fiction authors convention, and there was a lottery that people could sponsor by offering some prizes, and she decided to offer a free translation of one chapter for free to the winner of the raffle. And which is like, you know, she didn't really have to market in any way with like people themselves. She didn't really have to do much in terms of online. She just had to sort of say, yes, I'm offering this to the winner if they win the lottery. And she got so much interest, because even the people who didn't win, they read her name there and they were like, oh, translating a book into different languages, that sounds exciting for an author. So she got a lot of interest from it. And it's something that not a lot of people will think about, just, you know, going to Comic-Con and having fun, and then you get job offers from there.
But I asked you that question because I had a session with my mentee last week, and she told me, I don't want to go after clients. I want the clients to find me. Okay, I know there exists the inbound marketing, but still inbound marketing, in order to work, it needs a lot of time, and also it needs your name to put out there in order people to find you. There's no other way.
Yeah, and it's all about growing reputation as well. If you want clients to come to you, then you need to start to like find the first few clients who can then recommend you to other clients, and your name sort of gets out there. But you do need to put in the initial effort. It's unfortunately, it's not like Cinderella where you get a fairy godmother and she solves everything for
It's
you.
a bit passive way to do things. It's a bit not that actively, like cold calling or networking, cold emailing. But still, there are ways. Can I ask, as a student, a question? What is the marketing roadmap? Because I've been asked. Because I saw that you taught such a workshop a couple of weeks ago, was it?
Yes, so I did. It was actually an online course that I did with ECPD webinar. And basically, my favorite thing to talk about is marketing strategy, which a lot of people might think is just promotion, so using social media or going to networking events and stuff like that. Well, actually, there's a lot more to it. And I like to call it a roadmap, because to me, a marketing strategy is something that tells you where you are, where you want to go, and how you can get there. So what your current situation is, what situation you'd like to be in, so what your objectives are, and what sort of tools and techniques you can use to reach them. And I always make the comparison with Google Maps. So you have to put in starting point, ending point. It gives you the route, and if accidentally you get off the route, it helps you find another route. And that's exactly what a marketing strategy is, and that's why I call it the roadmap.
I use the same example to my financial summit speech, where we didn't have any discussion about that. It was accidentally. I use the same about achieving your goals. If you do not know where you stand, no one can help you to go where you want to go if you do not know where to stand. And even Google Maps, they cannot give you any direction. So, Is the course available? Do people watching us find it still on the ECPD platform? Most probably, no.
So I don't think it is available as an on-demand course, but probably it will run again in the summer.
Okay, and any other?
But nothing confirmed just yet.
Mm-hmm. Any other course of yours available?
So in terms of online courses, there's nothing going on at the moment. I'm doing one for Italian translators. It's like a big course about becoming a freelance translator, with a lot of like really, really good speakers. And this course started in end of January, and it's gonna finish around the end of March.
Wow. Where is held? Is it online?
It's all online, yes.
Yeah,
it's all online.
Is it held by an association or?
It's held by STL Formazione, which is a sort of a training school for translators based in Italy. Okay. And so yeah, that's what's pretty much going on. But I think that reservations of spots are closed because the course already started.
Yeah, but it's a good information, and also to share with us.
So in terms of next sort of appointments, we have Elia Together in Milan, 27th and 28th of February.
Next week.
Then I'm going to be talking about digital marketing for translators at the Chartered Institute of Linguists conference on the 6th of March in London. And then I will be at BP conference in Nuremberg in April. And I will be talking about personal branding. So, and then there may be more, but I can't announce anything just yet.
Yeah, let's announce until April, okay? I will be also at BP talking about referrals and how to make your happy clients promoters of your business. And also there is EULITA, which is going to take place in Athens end of March. So I will be attending there. So if anyone coming in Athens, please do come and say hello. It's going to be training the modern legal translator. So pretty interesting. So see you next week live. Would you like to share your social media, where they can find you, and maybe know about any upcoming online course of yours, or maybe the knowledge that you share on social media? Or
absolutely. Blog? Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook as 3P Translation, and on Instagram as @Martina3P. And then on my website, 3ptranslation.com, and I can pop them in the comments later.
We'll share your bio and also the links. And I love Instagram lately. I don't know why. It's becoming more and more effective, isn't it? And efficient. Yeah. And can we answer one last question of Sarah Susi, sure, who kindly entered this question in our Google form about Ask Your Mentor Anything. And do you want me to repeat the question so as the viewers to be able to know what we're talking about? So as a marketing translator, she says, would you recommend specializing in some favored areas? What do you think it takes to be a successful marketing translator? Is it skills, talents, education? Like, for example, they asked me, should I take a second degree like you did? Do you think it's essential? Is it pre-required? Or you could be specialized without having done these studies and taking this degree? How do you know you are good at what you are doing if clients don't understand the language you are translating into? Okay, that's a totally different question.
Okay, a lot of questions there.
Okay, let's take the
Okay.
first one. Do you want me to repeat?
First one.
Okay.
So around specializing in different areas, I would say definitely,
Is there
because
favorite areas? He says.
yeah, so marketing translation is a huge area, and you can't possibly know the specific lingo and the inner workings of every single industry that is marketed out there. So do focus on areas that you either know because of past experiences or that you're passionate about, so you know them as a consumer, which is really helpful, especially when translating marketing. In terms of specializing in marketing, I would say do read books about marketing, because you have to know, you know, sort of terms like, you know, target audience, return on investment, call to action, brand awareness, all those like buzzwords. You have to know what they mean, because a client might ask you to translate a text for a specific purpose, for a specific target audience, and you know that they will give you all the details, so you have to be able to know what they mean by that. And then obviously you need to sort of develop I would say marketing sensitivity,
Awareness.
because you need to be able to give the same flair to a text in a different language, make sure that it's culturally appropriate, make sure that it resonates with the audience. So you have to know the audience as well, what sort of language they use. And I think it's something that can come definitely from education, but alternatively from experience. So one of the reasons why I specialize in foods and travel and tourism is because before becoming a translator, I worked in these industries. So I know how they work. I'm passionate about them. I know the terminology. I know how companies communicate to their target audiences. So I know that I can transfer that into Italian in my case.
So maybe choose a topic where you feel a bit familiar.
Oh yeah, familiar and passionate about. To me, it's all about passion.
Yeah. Are there any trends like running lately about marketing translation areas, like the market needs lately? For example, there's a lot of work in such areas that you recommend them.
Honestly, I don't know because I only specialize in those areas that
Also, it depends on the target market. Like your country, like mine, Greece, tourism is our second income source as a country. So I always recommend, if a translator wants to find a job, to be active in two of the most common sources of income of the country, of their target market. So as an advice, I would recommend you to take into consideration the language, your target language and the target market, so as to find out what are the trends lately, depending on your specialization. Yeah. Also, you covered the second question about skills, talents, education. And what do you think, how do you know you are good at what you're doing if clients don't understand the language you're translating into? How do you convince them about your
well, again, it's all about the way you present yourself. If you have to build a relationship and build trust first, and then you sort of go for the sale. One thing that is really helpful is to ask your existing clients for feedback, comments and testimonials and case studies, so that you have some sort of social proof of the work that you've done. And if a client reads a comment from another person who's used your services and it's a positive comment, then they're going to be more willing to work with you, definitely.
So it was pretty interesting, even for me, every time that I have a friend here talking, like some information going out there, and I hope you found it interesting. So see you guys in the group. I'm going to switch off the live now. You are going to find the recording always on YouTube channel, and also it will remain in the group. You can post any questions you have later. Martina is a member anyway of the group, so we can see your questions, or you can contact contact Martina directly or even me. So I'm closing the live. See you in the group. So glad.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye, and see you in the group later. And thank you, Martina. I'm closing also the recording. The video will be available on YouTube. Is there something you would like to add?
Just a massive thank you for inviting me to this sort of informal chat about one of my favorite topics.
Thank you so much for accepting my proposal and for supporting this initiative. See you. We're having a very good speaker not the next week, the week after. So see you later in the group. Bye-bye for now.